Why do you think Sansa told me the truth about you? Because she doesn't want Dany to be queen.
She doesn't get to choose.
No. But you do.
And that's it. Game of Thrones is over, and we're all left feeling, well, a little let down, to be honest. But how does the cast feel? Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're taking a look at what the cast had to say about the Game of Thrones series finale. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Not since Lost has a television show reached such mythical, pop culture defining heights only to crash and burn in its final season. And yes, we know there are a lot of Lost defenders out there, but even you guys have to admit that the general consensus equates to a giant shoulder shrug.
I died too.
And yes, Season 8 certainly had its moments. Episode 2 was particularly praised thanks to its oppressive atmosphere, satisfying character interactions, and gratifying character moments, like Brienne getting knighted by Jaime.
Arise, Brienne of Tarth, a knight of the Seven Kingdoms.
Really, the season started relatively strong, and then the long night happened and things started to go downhill. The season was quickly lambasted for its rushed pace, illogical action set pieces, and for yada-yadaing some very important and necessary character development. Many didn't mind where the show ended up, just how it got there. But what about the actors? How does it feel to devote 10 years of your life to something only to watch it lose respect and reputation in its final stretch? How do they feel about the ending and their respective character journeys? Let's start with the elephant in the room. The overall disappointment. We're sure you've all seen those viral videos of the cast showing displeasure towards the ending, but if you haven't, let us fill you in. In an interview with Entertainment Tonight at the 2018 HBO Emmy Party red carpet, Emilia Clarke pulled a conflicted face and sarcastically said, "Best season ever," after being asked about her satisfaction with the ending.
Best season ever! It's the best. It's the best season ever.
Peter Dinklage, in an interview with ET at the premiere of his new HBO film, My Dinner with Hervé, sang the praises of Benioff and Weiss as if he were reading from a teleprompter behind the camera, as if to say, "There, are you happy, HBO?"
There are no better writers in television than Dan Weiss and David Benioff.
During an interview with Gold Derby during the 2018 Emmys red carpet, Isaac Hempstead Wright, Conleth Hill, and Liam Cunningham all remained suspiciously silent after being asked about their approval.
Are you all happy with the way with the outcome of the show?
And perhaps most alarmingly, Kit Harington told Pop Buzz that the ending was, quote, disappointing. He just straight up says it, straight face and all.
If you could describe the season finale of Game of Thrones in one word, how would you describe it?
Disappointing.
And yeah, he tries to play it off with a laugh, but we all know he was telling the truth. Your fake laugh can't hide your inner sorrow, Kit.
Epic. I don't know.
Epic.
One of those ones.
2 words. We got 2 words. Disappointing and epic.
Yeah.
Seriously, Kit Harington was not shy about voicing his displeasure. He also told Entertainment Weekly that the ending would be divisive, seemingly knowing full well that many people would take umbrage with the direction of the show and its characters. He also said that he was, quote, pissed about Jon not killing the Night King.
I was pissed. I was pissed that it wasn't me killing the Night King.
You have to be pretty darn angry to use that kind of language in a behind-the-scenes piece. That sort of stuff is usually filled with boring platitudes and ego boosting. And Kit wasn't the only one left bewildered over the climactic moment. Maisie Williams told EW, quote, "I immediately thought that everybody would hate it. People would be like, well, the villain couldn't have been that bad when some 100-pound girl comes in and stabs him." Unfortunately, her trepidation proved prophetic, as Arya's involvement in the Night King's death, and the manner in which he was killed, was one of the most divisive elements of the entire show. In fact, many actors were puzzled over the handling of their respective characters. Some were left questioning controversial character decisions and bizarre changes in their personalities. For example, Peter Dinklage showed reservations about the whole hiding in the Winterfell crypt plan.
We're in a crypt. Nobody thought of that. He's bringing all the dead people back to life, and they put the women and children in a crypt with all the dead people. So, rah. Tyrion is smart, but I guess not that smart.
Others were hesitant about their character arcs and destinations. Lena Headey was upset that Cersei didn't go out in a blaze of glory, telling EW, quote, "I wanted her to have some big peace or fight with somebody." Nope. She just cries, returns to her man, and is crushed to death. Natalie Emanuel wanted Missandei to have more scenes with Daenerys to make her death more palatable and meaningful. Nope, she's just plucked out of the water off-screen and teleported back to King's Landing. And Gwendolyn Christie showed some initial frustration towards Brienne's development, telling EW, quote, "Sometimes your ideas become set in your mind, and sometimes David and Dan write something you didn't expect and find difficult to comprehend." We don't know what she's speaking about exactly, but we have a feeling it has something to do with where Brienne and Jaime's story ended up. If those sound scathing, you haven't heard anything yet. Both Emilia Clarke and Isaac Hempstead Wright were left completely flabbergasted after reading their respective endings. In fact, Isaac was in such a state of disbelief that he literally thought he had received a fake script. He told EW, quote, "I genuinely thought it was a joke script, and that Benioff and Weiss sent to everyone a script where their own character ends up on the Iron Throne." Yeah, we kinda had the same reaction when Bran was crowned king. Emilia Clarke had a similar reaction as she went for a 5-hour walk around London after reading the final script. She recalled thinking, What? Because Daenerys' ending comes out of nowhere. Emilia struggled with Daenerys' violent and increasingly tyrannical arc as she had grown attached to the character over the years and saw herself in Dany's bravery and persistence. She even recalls calling her mother for consolation because she was so upset. But perhaps the biggest critic of the show's trajectory is Conleth Hill, also known as Varys. Hill took major issue with Varys' lack of action and importance in later seasons, telling EW that, quote, "The last couple seasons weren't his favorite." He also stated that various stellar aspects of the show were lost after it passed the books, and like his traveling partner Peter Dinklage, he was left questioning his character's intelligence and cunning. In the same interview, Conleth stated with vexation, quote, "If he was such an intelligent man and he had such resources, how come he didn't know about things? That added to my dismay." But after reflecting on the matter and digesting the writer's creative decisions, Conleth eventually came around, saying, "I think it's really good in retrospect now that I've had the time for it to sink in." And this seems to be a common theme among the cast. Sorry, critics. For example, despite her initial surprise and struggle with Daenerys' turn to the dark side, Emilia Clarke found the ending, quote, "very beautiful and touching." She even went on to defend Daenerys' character arc, as did Kit Harington, Gwendolyn Christie, and Peter Dinklage. And Isaac Hempstead Wright, the same man who legitimately thought the ending was a joke, said that it was, quote, "a fitting conclusion to the story." We guess he just had to digest the whole Bran the Broken thing. And they aren't the only ones, as nearly every major actor has expressed satisfaction with the overall story. For all his complaining about Tyrion's newfound stupidity, Peter Dinklage believes that his character was given, quote, "a very good conclusion." Gwendolyn Christie expressed happiness regarding Brienne's outcome, saying, quote, "It feels refreshing that a woman can be happy without a companion." Sorry, Jaime and Brienne shippers, but Brienne was never destined for romantic love and domestic bliss. She became Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, and that is good enough for her. Lena Headey, who wanted Cersei to have one final badass moment, discussed the story with her fictional brother, Nikolai Coster-Waldau, and said, quote, "The more we talked about it, the more it seemed like the perfect end for her." And speaking of Nikolai Coster-Waldau, he also believes that Jaime and Cersei received a suitable ending. Of course, many people were infuriated that Jaime abandoned 7 seasons worth of character development to simply return to Cersei at the drop of a hat. And while Nikolai understands the frustration, he also believes that the heel flip was in keeping with Jaime's character. He told Entertainment Weekly, quote, "It does make sense, even though you don't want it to. And the way it ends with him, he finally finds her, and it's a beautiful ending." And as for the ending itself, he believes that it couldn't have been any better because, quote, "there's a logic to it without it being obvious at all." Of course, Sophie Turner is happy with Sansa's ending. She told the New York Times, quote, "It was kind of the perfect end for her. She became Queen of the North after all." Yeah, her siblings are once again scattered to the wind, but hey, at least she's in an incredibly powerful position of authority. It certainly beats being married to Ramsay. And what of George R.R. Martin, the man who imagined this fantastic and expansive world and created these timeless characters? While some A Song of Ice and Fire fans may be clamoring for a critical evisceration, he actually seems pretty defensive. In his blog post, Unending, dated May 20th, he admits that his ending will be very similar to the show's. He also defended Benioff and Weiss, writing, quote, "They had 6 hours for this final season." But he's certainly not blaming David and Dan for ruining his entire legacy the way many others are. And as for those critics, the ones who are claiming the entire show's been ruined, Kit Harington says, quote, "They can go F themselves." So yeah, we think he's quite proud of the overall effort. Sophie Turner has also commented on the backlash, albeit in a much more polite manner. While she isn't surprised about the hostile reaction, she also told the New York Times, quote, "All of these petitions and things like that, I think it's disrespectful. So many people worked so hard on the show, and for people to just rubbish it because it's not what they want to see is just disrespectful." Maybe there's a lesson in all of this. These actors clearly felt some initial bitterness and resentment towards the ending, but upon further reflection and having time to digest, they grew to love it and admired its daring and unpredictability. And who knows, maybe with time, fans will start to feel the same way. Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.